So, if you're a fan of Picture Lock, you know that I'm a big fan of this little show called East Los High. And today I am really geeking out because I get to talk to, I think this is 2 seasons running, my favorite character, Ceci, aka Danielle Vega. Danielle,
Yeah,
what's up? Welcome to Picture Lock.
thank you so much for having me. I'm
Oh,
excited.
you know this is my pleasure. So, one of the questions that I always like to start off with is when did you first fall in love with acting?
Oh my gosh. I knew that I've known ever since I was little that I was always going to be a performer of, at at some level, whether it was through music or dance or acting. Um I started off on Barney and Friends at the age of 9. And that was, just the beginning of this long journey that will never come to an end. But yeah, my mom just always had me in anything that was artistic. So dance, like as soon as school was out, she would drop me off the dance studio. I would have like 4 classes, and then all of a sudden I would see her at the end of the day. But she always kept me busy.
Yeah.
And I've I've always been a person that enjoyed, watching or, making people laugh or, anything like that. So I think it happened at a really young age.
That's awesome. What was it like being on Barney and Friends, and how do you think that prepared you at a young age for what you're doing now and for your career?
Um, it was a lot of fun being on Barney and Friends. We first of all, we'd get to leave school for, up to a week. And the only downside to that was that I would come back to school and I would have missed all of, the inside jokes or anything like that. But other than that, it was a lot of fun. And, it really prepared me for where I am now. Being on a real set, even though it was a non-union project because it was filmed in Dallas. But we were doing everything that we're doing now, working in, a real sound stage. Actually, the studios that we filmed at, they also filmed Walker, Texas Ranger. So just being in a studio that had all of that history was really humbling, even for a 9-year-old. So I think it really prepared me for where I am now. I have a lot of experience, and I think it shows when I show up on set.
Yeah, and it does. So one of the things I've also wondered, there was this certain person that we may know that was on American Idol and had a little audition. Um, do you have a singing career as well? You got a little talent with singing?
Have a little talent. I can hold a note. I haven't really explored, music as much as I think I could. Maybe one day, but I'm the type of person where it's cool to multitask, but I'm better when I focus at one thing. So
Yeah.
right now, I think that acting could, open those doors later on. And as long as I continue practicing and I can still hold a note when I get older, then we'll just focus on acting and see what happens with music later. But that experience was a lot of fun. And actually, funny story, the only reason why I auditioned was because I had just graduated from college. I was bored over the summer, and I looked on Craigslist of all sites. And this guy was looking for someone to test a theory that if, a contestant dressed up, that they would go further in the competition. So I dressed up as a dominatrix and I ended up making it to Hollywood Week. Go figure.
Right. Nice. Okay, so before we get into East Los High, there's a small gap, I guess, between Barney and Friends, right? And until you start taking these more, teenage and adult roles. And how do you think in the interim, like some of the films that you've actually been in have also, just helped you in perfecting your craft? And maybe talking about, if you could talk a little bit about being an actress and going on auditions and what that's like.
You know, um, I did take a little bit of a break. Thankfully, like my parents for good genes that I haven't really aged or grown as much. So even in my late 20s, I still look like I'm in high school. But I the other roles that I've taken, it's funny because I was looking at similarities even between Ceci now and the role that I played on So This Is Christmas with Vivica Fox and Eric Roberts. Like the girl is a high school student, and she ends up getting pregnant. The boyfriend doesn't want the baby and is almost forcing her to get an abortion because he doesn't want to take that responsibility. He doesn't feel like he's ready for it. And it's almost like I play the victim well. But it's funny because the girls, although they put themselves in or they're set in a victim situation, they're still very strong women. And the only thing is that they have to learn a lesson before they can move on. And that's been the same for Ceci. It's been the same for Angel is the character's name I played, and So This Is Christmas. And the other roles that well, not so much on Barney and Friends. Kim was definitely not a victim.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
think so. Maybe because maybe,
right.
but Barney's voice
But
though, or
as
Baby
far
Bop's voice, that kills me. That's a victim.
oh, I stop it, stop it. But as far as auditions go, it's finding yourself in any role that you're auditioning for, because really the character is just an extension of who you are. It's just you going through a different situation. You can't lose yourself and become a completely different person. I think that isn't what acting is in my book. So auditions can vary. Some of them can be very intimidating, especially the bigger ones. And others can be just like meeting with an old friend, and those are the best in my book because it completely melts the nerves away and you feel like you can just go in there and do your thing, which is what you were called in to do. And that's how Islos was, that's how So This Is Christmas was, and that's even how what I think I've been pretty fortunate to have some good auditions.
I'm a big champion of diversity in Hollywood, and that's something
Me
that
too.
I definitely want to take on. And so I guess for as we kind of navigate into Islos High, but also just for you in general, coming from a diverse background. What is it like being, in Hollywood and trying to secure roles for diversity?
It's I think there are a lot more opportunities that, are coming around for minorities in general instead of, continuing to isolate us in the stereotypical roles. Especially for Latinos, there are we're going out for the best friends or even for the lead characters now rather than being the gardener or the maid or something like that.
Right.
I know, so sad.
Yeah.
uh and then, even for blacks, like I think we've seen a real movement as far as new shows go, even like with Blackish, Chrisella, Jane the Virgin, and even what is the other one? Fresh Off the Boat. I think Hollywood is finally getting it. They're kind of making fun of it in a sense with some of their shows,
Right.
but I think that's it's almost a way of saying, we're aware of this and we're still giving you all a show because it almost needs to start off as a stereotype, and then, we can move on into the other like grittier stuff, I guess. But for me, being as ethnically ambiguous as I am,
Yeah.
given my heritage, like I'm sorry, that's my phone.
I know.
Um,
That's okay.
Given that I'm mixed with Spanish, Black, White, and Indian, what I struggled with is that a lot of people didn't know how to cast me. They were like, well, she doesn't look Black enough. She doesn't look white enough. She doesn't look Hispanic enough. And I had to work around that. And thankfully, as I've gotten older, I've kind of fallen into my place, I feel like, as some mixed people do. But that's one thing that I've had to struggle with. And, really just trying to understand how Hollywood works, and that, you don't really have to have a certain race for anything, I would feel like, because anybody can play, whatever type of character. Like a Hispanic can play someone who was raised in the hood. A white person can play someone who was raised in the hood, or vice versa, someone that was raised in the suburbs, like, unless it is specific to the story, I don't think that we should, stereotype races like that. But that's just my opinion.
Well, it's a it's a good opinion.
Thank you.
But I do appreciate what you said, and I haven't really thought of how, and I think you're right in terms of sometimes we're seeing the stereotype part to at least get it on TV, and then from there, hopefully we'll see bigger and better. I
Exactly.
hadn't really thought of it from that perspective. So, okay, so this little show called Islos High, right?
Yeah.
I'm on Hulu, and I keep seeing Islos High,
Yes.
Islos High. So I decided to sit down and watch it, and I wound up like binge watching season 1, and I'm like, whoa, I really like this.
Yes.
And
It's good.
so
It's catchy.
I just love, and I've said this before in other videos, but how Ceci specifically just has this awesome character arc in season 1 and season 2. Season 1, she's brash, and but then by the end, she matures, right?
Yeah.
Let's just talk about the role and what attracted you to it.
What's really funny, that I didn't even audition for Ceci. Like, my whole audition process, which spanned, it was it was a good 5 auditions or so. I auditioned for every other girl character except for Ceci. And
Wow.
then finally, I got the call saying that they wanted me to. I know that I was actually in South Carolina. We were visiting my husband's family, and I was like, man, I don't think I got it. I don't think I got it. I would have heard by now. All of a sudden, I get a phone call from Blanca Valdez, who is the casting director for East Los High, and she's like, Danielle, we want to offer you the role of Ceci. I called you first before calling your agent, and she was like, so I just wanted to give you the good news. And I'm screaming on the phone, and then finally just had to book my flight to come back that same day and go to my fitting and start filming. I was so psyched.
Wow.
Yeah, but she's awesome. I love Ceci, and I love how much she's grown as a person. I think it's easy to want to be popular in high school. So to befriend, the bad girl, who is Vanessa de la Cruz, and because she refers to Ceci as her pit bull. Vanessa doesn't want to get her hands dirty, so she would always call in Ceci.
Right.
And when Ceci goes through the pregnancy and realizes, that she really can't depend on anybody but herself, it forces her to grow up. And I love that. I love that. And even going into season 2, where, you see her as a single mom, and like she's making it work, where she has her job, she's gotten her GED, she's moved on with a new guy, and but she still hasn't forgotten her love of dancing. And thank God she gets the opportunity to go back to East Los and show off her skills and really make a winning team out of the bomb squad. And then, realizes that things aren't right with the guy who is supposed to be the love of her life.
I know. I know.
Oh,
Oh my
I
goodness.
know. But can I tell you, I was so excited to play that role, though. Oh my gosh, especially in season 2. Like, I was like, yes, I get to be, well, maybe not a badass right now, but
So I have a question. Obviously, talking with you now, like your personality, effervescent, and how much of Ceci is the writing, and how much of it is you? Because I feel like it's a mixture of both, but I feel there's definitely a purity in the writing where we're still able to see Ceci. Like, she doesn't lose the essence of who she is, kind of like you said, although she's maturing. And
Right.
just how much of it is like, is it written like that? And then like, I mean, how do you put your twist on it?
Um, well, the good thing about like the East Los High like production and like our writers are absolutely amazing. They go through an incredibly like long writing process. There are lots of rewrites, drafts, so that they can get it absolutely perfect. But even once we get on set, the actors still have the liberty to improvise or change where they see fit based on their understanding of the character. Um, there is, I think there's a little bit of Danielle and Ceci for sure. I mean, I may not have had the same upbringing or the same situations happen to me as they have for Ceci. But just like Ceci can be really nice, she's a mom, she has to be caring and patient. Also, with her students on the bomb squad, Danielle is likewise very patient, very nice, but we can still book somebody's ass. Don't get it twisted. So I
Right.
think, and I think that's why she's so much fun to play. But yeah, we have a lot of liberty as far as the characters go. But honestly, the writing is so good, I really don't have to change anything. It's just keeping her eyes as a 20 or 21-year-old versus me being in my late 20s. It's like I have to remember how that was. Um,
Right.
and that's really the only thing. But even that in itself isn't difficult, because she is going through some adult situations, so grown up a lot faster than others that age would have.
Yeah. And I mean, thanks for sharing that. I think that's just that's pretty awesome. And shout out to the writers of Islos. I mean, seriously, it's it's funny because at first I thought it was just gonna be like super cornball cheesy. Now, granted, it does have a little bit of cheesiness to it, but that's what I like about it.
Right,
Like,
right.
and then I'm like hooked on these characters, and I'm talking to the screen like, Ceci, no, don't, come on, you stupid,
I
why are you
know,
doing
I
this?
know, I know, I know. It's so funny because I think about all of that. Like when we're doing the scenes, I'm like, man, as soon as this happens, people are gonna be like, no, why?
Right.
And there's a lot of that in season 3. So get ready to be on the end of your seat.
Okay, awesome. So that's one thing I know you can't tell, but obviously, the cliffhanger that we were left with in season 2, my thoughts and feelings on it.
What?
Oh
What's
my,
your theory? What's your theory?
I mean, I'm hoping that Ceci doesn't let these high schoolers get in her head. She says, "Talk to the hand, back up. Are you crazy?" You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but honestly, okay, my theory is that I still don't think she's matured to the level that she can resist. I didn't see that at the end of season 2.
Yeah.
So I do feel like in that situation with the peer pressure, that she probably would bend into it. I do feel as though she's trying to find an escape plan, but I don't know. It's really gonna be interesting. Again, it goes back to the writing in regard to how she actually gets out of it. And I'm saying she gets out of it because I got faith she gets out of it. So we'll see.
Well, I will say that season 3 is definitely um a season of empowerment for Ceci. I think that all the lessons that she's learned in season 1 and season 2, she'll be able to use in season 3. So, without giving away too much, that's all I can say. And you won't be disappointed. I think that you'll like the way things play out. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, so we can go ahead and wrap things out. You guys, I was talking with Vanessa, and it just seems like you guys are a family on screen and off screen.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about working with your other cast members.
She's absolutely right. I think when you spend so much time with people, it's natural to become friends. I have some of my best friends on set, including Vivian Lamoli and Tracy
Yeah.
Perez. They're wonderful. I know. That girl is awesome. I love. She's crazy, but she's awesome. Um, and she knows it. She'll laugh. But yeah, I think they're absolutely amazing. Like Vivian will oftentimes like we'll go work out together, we'll go to the spa together. She'll come over and like I'll just be chilling watching TV. She'll be running through the kitchen trying to figure out what she can cook, like in my kitchen. But she's awesome. And Tracy is the same. Tracy, like we celebrated her birthday one year. It was really late. Jeremy and I went over there and they made pie and we had pie for her birthday. So it's just, like little things that you do with your friends where you don't necessarily have to have plans. And that's how I feel like those are who your real friends are.
Right, right.
Like the ones where you could just show up looking a hot mess and you still have fun together.
Yeah.
Um, but and everyone is so supportive. Like if someone has a show or a screening or a showcase or anything like that, like we're the first ones there. And that to me, like that support system, that is a family. And that's exactly how we are on set and off set.
That's great. And it translates on screen for us as viewers and fans. So I mean, keep up the great work. Again, you guys know I'm a big fan. I love Ceci, and I'm hoping you can take the crown 3 seasons running.
Oh, I know. No pressure, right? No pressure.
Right, no
How many
pressure.
what?
And how can people follow you? What's your Twitter handle, or all that good stuff?
For everything, it's the Miss Danny V. TheMsDaniV.
Awesome. Well, Danielle, thank you so much for coming on Picture Lock. It's awesome talking to you. I'm rooting for Ceci, and I'm rooting for you just as an actress
Thank
in your career. I think you do amazing work. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but one thing that I love about Ceci is when she gets mad, she talks through her teeth, and she'll be like, "Ha, sa, 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 sa." It's
Oh,
it's it's so funny to me, but it's cute. It's awesome.
oh, good. No, tell me why I didn't even notice that I do that.
Just go back and watch it, and you'll be like,
Okay, I'll go back and watch it. I'll
Kevin
go back.
was right. He was. All right. Well, thank you again for your time, and I'm looking
No
forward to
problem.
season 3.
Thank you so much, Kevin. This has been great.